Hello, thanks for watching and thanks for coming back to the channel if you've been here before. Today I wanted to talk about what retirement means for me, not in the terms of the traditional sense, but what it actually means for me and how it ties in with my plans. So traditionally, retirement, how I've always perceived retirement is getting old. You've got retirement homes, so lots of chairs all seated around in a care home setting, and that's a retirement home. So people getting old and not really living their life to the full. My idea of retirement for me has to be living life, continuing to live life to the full, which I cannot do at the moment because of financial constraints and having to work to meet those financial constraints, if you know what I mean. Now, I know a lot of people have said that my plan is completely flawed. I've got 150,000 basically in my pension, which is increasing gradually. I'm hoping to get that maybe to 170, 180 by the end of the year. It may not happen, but let's go with 150. I've got maybe £100, probably £100, 100,000 equity in the house. It could be a lot less than that. It might just be enough to literally clear the mortgage and we walk away. In which case I'll have to readjust my plans. Now, this is my point. My plans are, as I said before, they're set in sand, not in concrete. The ultimate goal is to spend time living my life. Now, if that means that I have to, I don't know, work 1 week in the month, I'll do that. I'm not lazy. I'm not afraid of work. I've worked damn hard all my life. And so retirement for me is going to be having the freedom and the money in the bank to back up anything else that I want to do. So at the moment, I'm working in a job that I really don't want to do particularly. It's very hard work. It's very unrewarding. I've had jobs that are probably more rewarding, but again, you have a boss breathing down your neck. You have people telling you what to do. If you've tread a foot wrong, you can get pulled up into the office and all that sort of horrible scenarios I used to have when I was working in the bank. Sitting in a chair with a local director walking around you like you're in some sort of torture chair. I probably should have got up and punched him. But at the time, when you're being told you need to knuckle down and do this and hit this target and hit that target, otherwise you're going to lose your job. How will your wife feel about that? The abuse I used to get when I was in the bank, it was killing me, and that's why I had to leave. And that's why I took redundancy. And I got a bit of a payout, not a lot. In fact, I'm not even going to go into that because I'll just get abuse online for that. But anyway, that money's gone, right? And some of it did actually go off the mortgage. Some of it went into my pension. So yeah, so I've been told, by various people on this channel commenting that some well-meaning and some just wanting to be trolling and abusive, who probably have no life of their own and are probably very deeply unhappy. I'm sure. Show me your life. Let's have a look at it. Let's break that down. I'm trying to be open and honest on this channel. It's helping me talk all this out, really. And when I say my plans are changing, they're changing daily. I've, as a result of some of these comments, I've looked and said, okay, maybe 150 grand isn't enough. Maybe it isn't. I know about living frugally, and I know there's a lot of people that have commented that are out there abroad and have done it on a lot less. And there's going to be a lot of people, especially younger people in their 20s and 30s, who have no money and they've got to wait until a state pension. So I feel for those people, and the only advice, I'm not in a position to give advice, but the only thing I'd say is to try and save. Definitely take advantage of your company pension, because it's double money. Your employer will pay into it, but there's no final salary schemes anymore. It's not like it used to be. You used to have a job for life. In the 80s, you'd have a job for life, you had a pension that was a final salary scheme, and then you retire on almost pretty much the same income that you enjoyed during work, and it would go up incrementally, along the line with inflation or whatever, and you'd live a life for Riley. And a lot of pensioners are in that situation today. There's also a lot of pensioners that didn't have that because they didn't have those kind of jobs, and they're living on pension credits to top up their state pension. It's really sad. So I want to break away from all of that. And if it doesn't work out, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it somehow. I know I joked about saying I'll come back to the UK and live on benefits. That's not the plan. I never want to do that. I really don't. If I absolutely had to, I'd do whatever it takes to survive and live. So as long as my basic needs are met, like I can eat, I can move around freely, I've got some sort of health, then I'll be fine. I'll find a way. It's about the mindset as well. What I found really interesting in the comments is the range of different attitudes. So I've had some comments that absolutely just beat me down. Doesn't matter what I say, it's wrong. Everything I say is going to be wrong. Doesn't matter if I've got 500,000. If I had 1 million and I was saying I was going to retire, there'd be something wrong about my plan to these trolls or people who want to just have a go. On the flip side, there's a lot of people who, a lot of you, who are out there actually doing this and have done it maybe on less or the same or a similar amount, similar situation, or maybe you didn't even have a house to sell and you're still doing it, or you're still thinking about going to do it, and it's all about attitude. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, because it's this the videos and the responses to these videos have really made me reflect on my own kind of attitude. Now, just to give you some context, years ago, around the time that my dad died, when I was about 27, 28, my wife and I joined an organisation called Amway. Now, I know that probably the trolls amongst you are going, oh my God, now what? And yeah, you're probably right, but we joined this organisation. I got approached by a colleague when I was working up in London. And I'm not going to bore you with the ins and outs of it, but he was promising, how would you like to earn an extra £1,000 a month? Now, at the time, I was earning about £1,000 a month. I was thinking, what, double my money, just like that? It was absolutely insane. I was earning a bit more than that, a couple of thousand a month. But anyway, £1,000 a month extra would have been, massive. So we went along, we saw the plan, and we saw all these people, met all these people who were supposedly very, very rich. And I don't doubt that they weren't, They were showing massive lifestyles. Anyway, at that time, we then saw how the other half lives, and we met a lot of millionaires, and we were around a lot of millionaires, and we were sort of encouraged to continue our business, our Amway business. It turned out that a lot of it was they were making money from books and tapes and self-education material, and rallies and events and things like that, seminars, which we went to a lot of, and we paid quite a lot of money to do that. But we enjoyed it at the time. We did that for 4 years, and we didn't really get anywhere. We didn't make any money from it. If for those that don't know, Amway is basically a network marketing scheme. It's not a pyramid selling scheme, because that's illegal. This is actually legal, but it's pretty hard to succeed. There's a very few who are earning money at the top. But we did Clean Easy, which was another network marketing scheme, and we did make a lot of money in that. In fact, I gave up work for a little while we were getting a residual income of about £2,000 a month, because we had a big team and everything else. That's a whole different story, because Clean Easy eventually went bust, unfortunately, but it was good while it lasted. So anyway, those kind of networking, there's lots of them. Mary Kay, Avon even has a degree of it, Herbalife. And they all have these big rah-rah rallies and seminars and books and tapes and things like that they put on you. We were on like a book and tape of the week, or book of the month, or something like that. So I read every single book over those 4 years and listened to every single tape that we had. Now, I've not really had something since then to be able to apply that knowledge to. So people were asking about, have you ever read a book? Or have you? What's your reading like? I've read books like Think and Grow Rich many times. Things like other books like The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, I think it is. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by a guy called Shad Helmstetter. A lot of these I think are American books. Some of them are quite religious in nature, but they were all about having that kind of positive mindset. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers was another one that I've read, and is quite mainstream now in kind of self-help. And I'm realising now that it's weird how things come together, but I'm realising that a lot of the information in those books is massively relevant now. There's another book, but I can't remember the guy who wrote it, called Reject Me, I Love It. And of course, all of this rejection that I'm getting online and all this kind of, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, you're reckless, you're an idiot, and much more abusive than that, is all to me just that kind of, yeah, reject me, I'm doing this, and I will find a way. And what coming back to what retirement means to me, it means freedom. So it means freedom so I can take a breather, quit my job, but I don't have to quit the job. It's not like I have to hand in notice to a boss. I drive with a delivery company and I'm self-employed. So if I want to go and do it again, or if I ever want to get some work with them, I turn my app on. Simple as that. So as long as I keep my app current, then I'll be fine. I can always dip back in. I'm not going to have to apply for a job and all that sort of thing. Somebody said, well, who's going to employ you at 62? Well, fair play, whatever. I'll find work, I'll find a way. But what that'll do is it will mean I'll have 150, 250 grand in the bank, hopefully, the freedom to take a bit of a breather and then think, okay, do I want to invest in some business? Do I want to change how I'm investing? Do I want to take a bit more risk in my investments? And, not worry too much, knowing that my investments are still gaining on the stock market as well. For instance, somebody said it's cheaper to live in a house than a caravan. When you weigh that up, my mortgage is interest only. It's on standard variable rate, which I kept. I can't fix it because they would want to put me on a repayment, which would put my payments probably up. And also it would mean there'll be massive penalties to pay it off, which currently there are none. So if I pay more than 10%, in a year, I don't get any penalties whatsoever. But my mortgage is £740 a month. Now that's massive. Get rid of that, I'd only have to work probably 1 week, 2 weeks out of the month. It's madness. And if we're living a life on the road, we're not going to have any council tax. In France they have council tax, but all you do is you have a loft that's still boarded up and still in the process of being done up, and you don't have to pay their council tax. All properties do that. Every single property you see online will always have one room, like an attic or a basement, that's still in a state of disrepair. And the reason for that is they keep it that way, so they don't have to pay council tax. It's just a quirk of their law. Might change, and if it does, I'm sure it's not going to be excruciating for my finances. So, again, going back to what retirement means for me, retirement just means the freedom to do what I want to do, not to do something I no longer want to do, if that makes sense. And I know a lot of you who have commented have said similar things. You're in a job that you don't want to do, and why do it then? Can you change it? Can you change it now? And that's where I've got to. I've had high-paying jobs in the past. I left the bank because the stress was going to kill me, and I hated the way I was being treated. I just hated it. I wasn't going to put up with it. And it would have to be another video to go into the background of why my job has changed over the years into what it is now. It's kind of, when I left the bank, I got into all sorts of things I was doing, some hilarious jobs that paid quite well. And then I had a motorbike and I was looking at courier work, and then eventually I got into this because I wanted to do courier work just because I knew some people who'd done it, and it was just flexible, really flexible, and that's what I needed at the time. So it gives me the flexibility, not having a 9 to 5 now. I can make YouTube videos, for instance. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was working 9 to 5. I'd just be burnt out. If something happens in the family, or family or friends need help with something, I can just drop a day and then work a different day. But what's happened with that is that the payment that I'm getting, it just keeps going down and down and down. It's getting diluted by more and more competition. So it's all going to come to a head next year when I can access my pension. I can release that money, have a little bit of a drawdown, and then I can decide what do I want to do. Do I want to work at all? If we sell the house quickly, then fair enough, off we go on our tour, live in the caravan. And when someone says it's cost more to live in a caravan, well, look, we're going to be paying £10 a night in a certified location or a farmer's field. All of our energy will be on solar, apart from, so we'll have gas. We'll have to buy gas bottles. That'll cost about £30 a month, probably, £20–30 a month. And we'll have insurance, and we'll have insurance on the tow vehicle. And that's about it, plus food. So, we won't have home insurance, we won't have gas and electric with standing charges, won't have a water bill because that'll all be provided through the sites where we're on. So I think overall it'll be cheaper. Yes, I know there's caravan servicing and there's vehicle servicing, but even living in a house you have vehicle servicing, don't you? If you have a car. And it's temporary. It's a holiday, right? I'm not treating it as we're going to be living permanently like that. If I had to, I probably would, but we don't have to. And so the plan is to buy the property in France as a shell, as I said, move into that and have a look at some options. We'll still have some money left over, and then we can go, okay, do we want to do it up? Some people have suggested buying a property where you can get 2 properties in one, and there's quite a lot of those for sale in France, and just have one that's really nicely done up. We move into the one that's not so nicely done up, rent out the other one to either French residents or to as an Airbnb. If you do it as an Airbnb, the French don't like it unless you get a business visa, and they still don't like it anyway. So we'll probably just rent it out to, if we do get a second property, we'll rent it out to a French renter rather than a holiday maker, is what I'm saying. So that's what it means for me. It's this freedom to live my life and go and enjoy myself rather than having to. I mean, people were suggesting, oh, you need to work, you carry on working for 10, 20 years. No, I don't, and I won't. Thank you very much. You do you, and I'll do this. Even if it's a 10-year holiday, then I still win, right? Because I've done all that stuff, and I've done it before I'm not too old to do it. And then this is not a competition anyway. It's not about I'm going to do it in spite of you and all that sort of thing. This is what I plan to do, and I'll work it out. I'll figure it out. And that's another thing. When you read a lot of these self-help books and things like that, you get phrases like, "If the dream's big enough, the facts don't count." Right? A lot of people are really drilling me down. I want to know exactly how you're going to finance this. Have you sat down with a financial advisor? What is a financial advisor? Some young snot who's been trained in the bank at 20 years old, still living at home with his parents. What are they going to tell me? I need someone with life experience to give me advice on life. I don't want some child who thinks that they're going to advise me on my finances just because they've gone through a course and passed a couple of exams. What do they know? They don't know anything. And I mean that, and I mean that to all you financial advisors out there. All it means by being independent financial advisor is that you're self-employed. It doesn't mean you're independent. You're going to go and promote the products that give you the best revenue, the best commission. And that's what a financial advisor does. They're glorified salespeople. That's all they are. And again, this is a separate video. But I'm not going to sit down with somebody who doesn't know anything about life. All they know is about their life, don't they? That's all they know is their life. They don't know anything about my life. So, finances in general, I could just Google or go on, ChatGPT if I wanted to, and find out the exact process of a financial advisor's interview, couldn't I, if I wanted to? And in fact, I have done some of that. So, people telling me you can't possibly do what you're doing until you get financial advice. No, you're wrong. Absolutely wrong. So I know there's a lot of you out there that are in a similar situation, which is probably why the previous videos have got quite a bit of interest. And all I can say to you, because I haven't had the experience of doing it yet, but I'm in the process of it, just do it. Go with your dreams. And coming back to that phrase, if the dream's big enough, the facts don't count. You find a way, don't you? If you absolutely want to do something in life, and you think about it day and night, and you think about it all the time, and you gradually start to refine it, and you have that image in your mind, things move. They say when you take massive action towards a goal or a dream, providence moves. I was once told. The universe moves and aligns with it, and that's probably a natural thing. You start to spot opportunities that you wouldn't have looked at before. Opportunities seem to suddenly come your way, and that's probably because you're in that peak state where you're focusing so much on your dream that the right opportunities come into play. And that's the mindset I'm hoping I can continue going forward. So that would be my advice. Focus on that dream, build that dream so high that no obstacle could get in the way. Some of you asked about supporting the channel. Thank you very much. I will be able to add super thanks soon to the videos because the channel is growing so well because of you. So I appreciate that. So you'll see that on the videos going forward, hopefully. And I appreciate the support. I really do. But the main point of all this is me talking it out. I'm refining my plans daily, and if it's inspiring or getting anyone else to think about their own situation and think, yeah, I'm going to go for it too, then brilliant, job done. Really, that's what this is all about. If you want to, let me know in the comments what you would like me to talk about. If there's anything in particular detail you'd like me to talk about. I know a couple of you have said that really want to drill down on the figures. I will do that at some point, but it's all a bit fluid at the moment. I'm really not sure. There's some other things I'm looking into. There's some other passive income models I'm looking into. I'll talk about those when I've got more detail and maybe put something in place. But yeah, in the meantime, if you haven't already subscribed or liked the video, please do so if this is something that you want to follow and follow our progress. And I appreciate you watching again. I'll see you on the next video.